Hey girl,
Hello.
how are we today?
I'm good. How are you? Very excited to be on here. Not gonna lie.
Yay! And thank you so much for stepping in last minute when
Yeah.
people feel to just show up in life.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No,
So,
you're
would you
welcome.
like to tell everyone all about yourself? What you're doing in
Yeah.
the world
I
for
definitely.
those who don't
Yeah.
know?
So of course. So my name's Scarlett Gilbert. I am a registered associate nutritionist. I specialize in non-diet nutrition specifically. So that's kind of like intuitive eating is like my babe. I love intuitive eating. That's like my thing.
Eh,
That's the main thing. Yeah, babe. Intuitive eating, body image stuff, all that good like stuff like that. Yeah, I
just
don't really know what
helping
else to say.
people heal their relationship with
With food, yeah.
food and their
Yeah.
body and
Mhm.
really just having a better life free from all this
Yeah.
nonsense.
Basically, yeah. We work a lot on surprisingly mindset first rather than actual food stuff. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later anyway when it comes to intuitive eating. So
Yeah,
um
because I
that's
feel like that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day.
yeah.
It's not actually the food.
Mhm.
It's what's happened to you, I think, in your experiences and your upbringing and like diet culture, which is all around us, that really
Yeah.
shapes our behaviors towards food. So it's coming
Mhm.
back to those and healing like your traumas. And I think this is quite important to share and maybe to start with that once even you maybe have done a lot of healing, that this can
Mhm.
come out of nowhere. And that's sort
Oh
of
yeah.
because you shared that. I hope you don't mind me saying
Yeah.
this, but you
No,
shared
of course
this
not.
very,
Yeah.
and I was sort of like, oh my gosh, like that's so brave and encouraging and inspiring to share because
Yeah.
you can be both an expert and a work in
Mhm.
progress at the same time, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're just like totally woke and you don't have
No,
anything further
exactly. I
to.
think, yeah, when it comes to diet culture, like diet culture at the minute is society that you can't separate the two.
Yeah,
So to think to yourself like, oh yeah, diet culture, I think I'm pretty aware when it comes to diet culture and I'm quite strong and I have all the skills and stuff and I teach people the skills how to deal with these problems. But that doesn't mean you're not going to experience them. You're not going to,
yeah.
even if you know it still, you're still not going to experience all these things that other people do because it's everywhere. It's hard to escape from. There's no way that you could have a completely diet culture free life
Yeah,
because
that's so true.
it's in the gyms, it's on social media. Even if you don't follow a lot of people to do with that, it will pop up. Friends and family always talk about it. It's everywhere. So it's kind of like, of course, it's going to affect you, even if you have done the work. It's just life.
That's actually such an important reminder, and to
Mm.
say that you actually physically cannot separate the two. You cannot
Mhm.
actually
No.
remove yourself unless you live a life of complete isolation. That's
Yeah,
really like, and
that's
I mean,
it.
I
Yeah.
mean complete
Mhm.
isolation where you don't go on and consume any news. You literally just sit and stare at a wall. Like that's your
Mhm.
only
Yeah.
because even if you eat food, you're going to see like things on packages and everything. Do you think we're like progressing with this in any way? Do you think there are changes being made in the world that do you see anything that's really improving in this area?
No, not really.
Be honest,
The
I was
problem,
really racking my head there to think, is there anything I can think in my head that has improved? Maybe,
yeah,
greater
yeah. There's more
body
awareness.
shape that has sort of
Yeah,
improved.
yeah. There's more awareness when it comes to like the non-diet movement and like the body positive movement. However,
It's quite toxic, though it can get into like toxic as well, I think.
yeah, there's a problem when some people can step over the line and they take space from people who actually need it. I think that's a massive problem when it comes to the
Yeah.
body positive movement. Um, so there's that, which is good, which is going on, people being a lot more
As we see more bodies
conscious.
represented, etc.
Yeah, but however, diet culture is a multi-billion
I know,
company. Like diet pills, weight loss shakes, they're not going to get rid of that because it sells.
I
And
know.
everyone wants to be happy in themselves. And they believe that to be happy in yourself, you need to look a certain way, which isn't the case.
Yeah.
So therefore, everyone wants the quick fix. Everyone's going to want to buy those pills, even if they fuck you up in the meantime. So I don't know if you're allowed to swear on here, but
Of
sorry.
course.
Just leave out. they'll just fuck you up in the meantime, and then you'll just keep buying these things because you think it's going to fix you. But if there was like, this is the one thing that I always say, like, if there was a quick fix, if there was something that you could do like magically that could fix all your problems, one, they wouldn't even sell it, because that's not, they're then going to get rid of the problem, and two, there's nothing like that out there. There's no way that anything like that can be made, because everyone's different, everyone's body is different, everyone is made to look different, so you can't just have one pill that's going to fit everyone.
It's so true. And I always think about this, like, imagine if one day, right, all people in the world just woke up in love with themselves, not feeling like they need to change anything. All the world's industries and beauty industries would just go bust.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
They thrive off making us feel like we're not good enough, like there's something we need to change about ourselves. And that's what, you know, every company is profiting off, people feeling insecure in something about themselves. And it's actually heartbreaking to think about, like, you know, but that's just the way the world sort of is, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And we're all just like working our way through it as best as we can. So I guess we should maybe like think about, right, so someone, sort of like a case scenario, so someone right now is in a really bad position with food. Now, I've been at both ends of the spectrum personally, having experienced anorexia and binge eating disorder. So one hand of the scale, you can be severely restricting with eating, maybe in the middle, a binge eating disorder. And then there's sort of the obesity, and, you know, there's a massive spectrum. Maybe some people just disordered eating rather than having a full-blown eating disorder. Where do you even start to actually, you know, address your issues? I mean, there's a lot of shame and everything around these areas. Like, do you feel like people are overwhelmed to start and they just continue these behaviors? You know, is there a good place to start with all this?
First place to start, I think, is to look inward and to think to yourself, why is it that I'm pressuring myself to fit an ideal that even not everyone fits into? So say you have all these models in magazines and stuff. For one, they don't even look like that in magazines because they edit themselves anyway. So the models don't even look like that. And two, you kind of have to think to yourself, okay, why is it that I actually want to look this way? What is it? What am I? Why is it that I want to do this? And if it's just because I don't like myself, then it's just like, okay, well, why don't you like yourself? And you have to focus on liking yourself more and figuring out, because that's where it all stems from. I think for a lot of people, it's not because they want to be healthier, because you can be healthy in so many different ways. You don't just have one body type isn't healthy. What healthy looks on someone isn't what healthy looks like on another person.
Health is not a look.
Exactly. So when you take that into perspective, you can think like, oh, well, I just want to be healthy. Okay, then what can you do to then make yourself healthy? But first you then have to look at not just your food, you have to then look at your mindset, because that's the thing that's going to change everything. It's more psychological than it is actually just eating, like we've mentioned before.
There are so many healthful behaviors that far exceed just food. Socialization, you know, educating yourself. I mean, there's so much travel, there's so much in this world to live for besides the food you put into your body and how you look, which is, I actually feel like it's such a destructive and sad way that I feel like so many people just live this life of food and exercise now, and that is solely their existence. And see, whenever your life is solely food and exercise, there is no joy, there's no true connection with people or yourself. It's just a meaningless existence just to look a certain way. I mean, what is the sense?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, when it comes to health as well, is that it is a privilege. I think this is an important point that people have to realize, because health isn't, like we said, isn't just eating well, eating like a varied diet or moving more. It's also making sure that you have the money, you have the supplies in order to do that. You are able to buy the food to be able to eat, that you have the time to be able to cook these healthier meals and all this stuff. So it's like there is a lot of privilege that comes with health. So you can't then just assume that everyone's in the same spot as you. As we know, people in poverty, they can't necessarily go out and buy fresh fruit or vegetables and stuff because they need stuff that lasts a long time, because they maybe only have enough money to last them for like a short amount of, how do I say this? They probably only have money that will buy them like frozen food, which typically might be lower in nutrition. It might not have as many micronutrients and stuff in it. However, that is what they can afford, and you can get a lot of it for not a lot of money. So then to say to someone like, oh, you're like, you need to eat healthier, but they can't afford it, so don't shame them to doing stuff that they can't do, because if anyone had the choice, I'm sure that they would try and supply the best diet to their family. So then to shame people into saying that like, oh, you're doing this wrong because they can't afford it, I just think that's wrong. And people need to realize that they need to look at everything, not just, it's just, hey, you have to eat fresh food, because not everyone can do that.
I think there is a lot to be said in general for food comments and body comments.
Yeah.
It is one of the areas that I am most passionate about, and I rarely curse, but see, whenever I get on to this topic, it really riles me up the wrong way, but the thing about it is as well that I feel like alien species saying this and talking about it, because it just is the matter of fact that it's the way our society is, and people just make these comments. It's not even as though they're doing it to intentionally affect you or, you know, be rude, or it's just the normal conversation. It's like it's your standard chat around the coffee table and work, you know, what diet they're on, or, you know, what they're, you know, all this nonsense, like, and it's just, to me it's boring, but to other people, you know, it's just their normal chat. It's, you know, what diet we're on, how many steps we're going to do, and this, that, and the other. Never mind whether, you know, I feel like there's so much more to life than to talk about this nonsense. But you know,
no, I agree.
Yeah, but we are like, do you think we're in the minority here with, you know, like the majority of people that we are talking to could well be in a restrictive, I don't feel like the majority of people have food freedom.
No, they don't. The thing is, with society, disordered eating is the norm now. So
do you think
being
so?
able, no, it is. It's not even like, do you think so? Well, obviously it's just my opinion, but I personally do. Yeah, I do think it is,
from
because
your research and what you see,
I think
it is the norm.
Yeah, I think a lot of other non-diet nutritionists will probably agree with me when I say this, because if you say to someone, oh, I'm going to have a bit of cake, they're like, oh, I'm going to be good. Oh, I don't want any, I'm going to be good. Like, why does that make you a good part? Like, you're then putting in morals with food, which don't go hand in hand, for one. People say like, oh no, I'm trying to be like, I've been really bad recently, I've been eating all this food, and it's just like, that's not a bad thing. And like, people do intermittent fasting, so we fast overnight, so it's like you're already not eating for like 12 hours anyway, and then they don't eat till a certain time. Just like, why are you restricting yourself anyway? And then diet culture has made us believe that we can't trust our bodies, but even though that when we're like toddlers, more like babies, they can eat, most of us can eat intuitively when we're young. So then it's just like, why is it that eating normally and eating what we want when we want and having this food freedom, why is that seen like it's now become this massive paradigm, which is what intuitive eating is, which is very well researched. It's like 30 years old, intuitive eating, very well researched paradigm, but that you have to do a lot of work in order to get there. But without diet culture, everyone would probably be in that space anyway. But if you like, it's
just
kind of
naturally,
like it's kind of just like if you're out and you're eating, you're like, oh, I don't really want dessert, everyone's like, oh my god, you don't want dessert, even though like everyone else is probably full enough and they probably don't want anything else to eat. They want to have something sweet, and they will then push themselves further to eating that like dessert, which is not a bad thing if that's what you want to do, but then people will then feel guilty or they'll feel bad and they'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna like just exercise, it's fine, and they'll have all these other mitigating things that they'll do, and then it's kind of just like, that's the problem. So if you think that making yourself count calories every single day and like tracking everything that you eat, for some people that's useful. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I was going to ask you your actual perception on tracking, because I can see how it can be helpful for some people, but generally I think it can be very toxic and take over your whole mind. Like, and I mean, it can really actually restrict you from doing a lot in your life. Like, you can't go out to a restaurant because you don't know all the macro breakdown of your meal. Like, oh my gosh, like, sorry, but I don't know about you, but like traveling around the world and eating all the foods is like one of my favorite hobbies.
No, agree. Yeah, exactly. I think when it comes to tracking, it can
be good to get started or increase your awareness around food and like why, you know, certain foods are helpful, but then it's removing yourself from that, and can you do that transition easily?
Yeah, I think the thing that's important is being able to remove yourself on it and then not feeling bad. It's all just got to do with your mindset when it comes to food and how you feel when you track things. If you're tracking every single thing that you eat in order to not gain weight, then and you're restricting yourself based on your calories, but you're like, oh, it's fine, I can eat whatever I want if I stay in these calories, then you need to think to yourself, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I putting so much pressure on yourself? Because then, like you said, you might not be able to go out to eat. But then for some people, they're like, yeah, like I don't really care if I track some days, and if I don't, it's just really helpful for me to make sure that I'm eating enough food in general, eating enough protein and stuff like that. For some people, it's really, really helpful, and they can easily stop tracking and they can start tracking again and it doesn't affect them. However, for a lot of other people, it causes a lot of stress. And then if it causes you stress and you worry about things, if anything causes you stress, just fucking stop. Like, if anything stresses you out, don't do it.
Yeah, that's it's a very individual thing, right? You know, where one thing will really help one person. So we can't just sit here and say, you know, there's a one size fits all, that you can do this, 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 and this, and that'll really heal your relationship with food and your life, because there really isn't one thing. And if there was one thing, then, you know, well, as you say, you probably wouldn't know about it, because then there'd be no money to be made. But like, we would tell you because we're out here trying our best, you know. But I really do think it is about coming back to yourself, not looking at others, at what others are doing, because especially with social media being so pervasive and everything, everyone's looking around to find like the fix from someone else. It's really about like taking the time back to you and seeing what you want and craving what, or, you know, satisfying your cravings. And, you know, there is so much that comes into it. Like, as you say, even ordering the dessert in the restaurant, you know, whether you want that dessert or not, there's so many other factors that come into it. You know, what are all your friends going to think? You know, are other people having it? You know, so it's just, it is a minefield. And, you know, even whenever you were talking about like the intermittent fasting and all these diets, you know, detoxing is another one that kills me. Like, what are you detoxing from? Like, you're just living and breathing as a human. What are you, like, detox juice in the morning? From what? Did you think your body accumulated all these toxins overnight? Like,
I know we've got organs that do that pretty well. I mean, if we had toxins in our body, we would die. So we're fine.
Like, you do not need to detox. Should we sort of give some summary tips that people could take forward to close with then? Sort of, we didn't go through the intuitive eating principles, but do you want to sort of summarize them, you know, just the like 10 things, a few pointers briefly of where one could start with all this?
So the first one that people should definitely start with, and what everyone I think who does intuitive eating tends to start with, is the first principle, which is called ditching the diet mentality. It does what it says in the tin. You basically do all the things that help you to build a resistance around diet culture and to try and like stop those messages from coming in. So this is like getting rid of dieting books, getting rid of the scales and like all the measuring things as well.
Unfollowing accounts on social media that make you feel rubbish and make you feel like you need to track yourself and look at your body 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. which is a good point when you say that, because it's like when it comes to social media, I think especially now because everyone is like on it all the time, it really affects our body image when we just see one body type, which is why whenever I say to my clients, I always say to them, okay, we're going to have a look through your Instagram feed and see who's on there, and we're going to delete anyone or unfollow anyone that makes you feel like shit.
Diversify your feed for your body.
Yeah, diversify your feed.
Body images,
yeah. And I'll give them a list of people who I think they should follow, and then they can just have a look at anyone else that they might like, and then that can help because you're not then looking at one ideal, which is an ideal.
Great advice.
So that's definitely number one, I think. Then there's loads of things like honor your hunger and honor your fullness, which kind of go hand in hand. They're two separate principles, which is basically listening to your body, understanding what hunger means to you and what fullness means to you, because people feel these things in different ways and they're quite minute senses. There's also understanding emotional eating, joyful movement, silence the inner critic, which is like the little inner voice in your head that kind of tells you, oh, you're being bad. It's kind of being like, okay, fuck off, kind of like
actually tuning into that though, and recognizing it, and sort of journaling and stuff through that, you know,
a lot of journaling. Meditations as well is another amazing thing that I always tell people to do. Basically the whole point of intuitive eating is to get you to stop, slow down, notice how you're feeling around food, why you may be feeling that way, what can you do to mitigate those feelings, any triggers when it comes to around food, or like for some people who may go on like, I can't deal with people with eating disorders because I'm not trained to. Specifically, but if someone tends to like binge, not binge eating disorder, but if people have like a binge where they like
depending on like just emotional eating, really, that isn't like
so then it's kind disorder. Then it's kind of just noting down like, okay, so what has caused you to feel that way,
like your triggers,
so that's another major
so you can be more mindful of that in the future to know how to deal with it better again.
Body image is also another one. Body neutrality is what we try and teach people, which is basically feeling no type of way about your body, like no strong feelings. It's like very neutral, just acknowledging that your body is how it is. So this, we go into like clothes here, and like making sure that things fit you properly, because that's like a major thing when it comes to how you feel in your body, because if you have clothes that don't fit, you're going to notice it more and you're going to feel more uncomfortable in your body anyway. A lot of that is mainly mindset stuff. And then the last thing that we ever deal with, and whenever I have a client, this is the very last thing that we deal with, which is gentle nutrition. And this is looking at food, and this is getting that nutrition thing in it. So
it's funny that that's the very final step, right? Like the actual food. You've done all this work on your mind, and now we're actually going to look at the food, which is mainly the thing that people try and start with, and that's the very 10th principle. It's the last thing you need to deal with. It's very interesting that that's totally flipped, right?
It's because you can make a lot of food rules when you then bring into nutrition. So if you haven't done all this other work beforehand, then you're going to struggle. Because if you don't understand your triggers when it comes to food, if you don't understand how food feels in your body, what makes you feel good, then you're not gonna, and what you actually like to eat, because that's a major thing. A lot of people eat things that they don't like.
Just because they think, oh, I need to eat this because it's healthy or something like.
Exactly. And if you don't break down those food rules, and if you don't break down all these rules that you have around food, then I can't then tell you, okay, we're now going to look at the nutrition of things, because you're going to bring those rules with you. So it's like so gentle nutrition kind of encompasses what you like, how you feel around food, but then also the nutrition aspect. So a good example is like I use is like wheat and plain flour tortillas. So like you're having both of them, you're allowed to have either one, but you pick which one satisfies you more. If both of them satisfy you the same, if you like both of them the same, then you might go for the one that's whole wheat because it's got some more fiber in it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's like you don't have to go for it just because it's the healthier version. You can go for it if you're feeling like, okay, I could do with a bit more fiber. I haven't eaten a lot of fiber recently, and I also like the taste, and I like I just like it. But if you think to yourself, oh, I really don't like the wheat one, but I know it's got more fiber in it, don't fucking eat it. Then just because, if you don't like it, don't eat it. Go for the plain one. It's no different. It's just got more fiber in it. That's it. You can find then things in other ways. So it's like, you don't have to go for the fat-free yogurt just because it's fat-free. If you prefer full fat yogurt because you think it tastes better, go for the fat-free one. It's kind of picking and all these things.
Love that. So like trial and error for you, like, so throw all the rules out the window and just sort of experiment. Go out and eat, like, I'm sure there's other examples, so like white rice and brown rice, white bread and brown bread, you know, well, just everything really, like sugar-free or full sugar, you know, cakes gluten-free, like, you know, just try things, you know, be open to exploring and sort of just get excited about like discovering a whole new world. A whole new world.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, it had to be done.
That's okay.
At least you weren't drinking your coffee there when I burst into song. Everywhere. Think about a challenge and I'll put it in the caption of what we could all do, because I'm trying to think, you know, so obviously like we could offer something for someone that you know, is struggling right now, but I'm trying to think of something that could apply to everyone that we could all get involved in, you know, because like you and I aren't struggling, you know, do you know, just like a positive exercise that we can throw ourselves into for 1 week that this after this video goes live. Thank you very much. I actually really enjoyed that chat. That was I feel like that is quite it's quite a comprehensive and, you know, really heavy topic to start to unload or even draw much light to within such a short space of time. But I feel like we did quite a good job there.
Yeah, it was good. It's very I could talk about this for flipping ages. This topic, which is why I've got my like podcast and my Instagram and stuff, so I can just like delve into it a bit more.
Do you want to tell everyone all about the exciting things that you have got going on and where to find you more? Because you do have a podcast where you talk a lot more about this that people should go and listen to, right? Because they'll find out a lot more information.
I've literally just launched my podcast. I do have another one which we haven't posted anything in there for a while, but that's got some
episodes
things which
there already.
That one's called Dieting Gone Bad. That's with one of my friends that I've done, who's another non-diet nutrition. Dieting Gone Bad.
Oh, Dieting Gone Bad, love it.
Yeah, so that's got a few episodes in that, and then my one, which is kind of encompassing a lot of wellness stuff, not just like non-diet, it's like everything. It's called Understanding Living, the podcast, and my Instagram is Understanding Living, and my
very
website
well synchronized there. Understanding Living on all platforms.
On all platforms. Try to make it as easy for people to find me as possible, but
seamless. We love to see it. Fabulous, and I really appreciate all your insights and just chatting with you today.
It's been good. I could talk about this with anyone who will flip and listen, so thank you for giving me the chance.
Same. I think it's an important and really you know, it's an important topic to talk about and not distract yourself from, and to really do the healing work, right?
I agree. I think it's a very deep topic, which is why if anyone just like a disclaimer, if anyone wants to do this by themselves, then they can, and there's some really good books out there.
We didn't really mention that it is potentially very worthwhile and important, and for a lot of people to actually seek a nutritionist or a dietitian or a therapist to work through this stuff with, and that is sort of or go to your GP if you're really worried, you know, don't try and do it all by yourself.
You can do it by yourself, but if you are struggling with an eating disorder, of course, like first port of call, go to your GP. And then
very
that you start from there. If you are just wanting to change the way that you're eating, you don't think you are struggling as bad, you can do it by yourself. Laura Thomas, just plugging her in, she has this book called How to Just Eat It, which is like
I love Laura Thomas. She has a fabulous podcast as well. She's brilliant.
Exactly. You've got a podcast, Don't Salt My Game, this book, How to Just Eat It, and her other book, Just Eat It, go really well hand in hand. As well as the I can't grab it, there's a couple on it, but there's another book which is the OG Intuitive Eating book by Evelyn Trubol, a really good book as well to also read. And any non-diet book really will be like a good port of call when it comes to wanting to start this journey. I also have a Facebook group where I talk a lot about this and help people on their journey with it as well if they want to do it by themselves. But
what
yeah,
is your
otherwise
Facebook group called?
it's called the Non-Diet Support Group on
Oh,
Facebook.
that's really, really nice. Yeah.
So I do a lot of like lessons on there. Well, starting to do like a lot of like Facebook lives and stuff for people to like break things down, answer any questions that they have. And it'll just be like a support group for anyone who's doing this by themselves and they don't have anyone in their life to talk to about
lovely.
it. Yeah. So you can always go on there if you want to. But yeah, get that book, those books if you want to do it by yourself or see a non-diet nutritionist. And there's a website called Health at Every Size that you can find therapists, PTs, nutritionists, psychiatrists, anyone who's HAES aligned, which is like the whole non-diet side of things. So go on there.
That is amazing, fabulous. I feel like you've just
information
perfectly
overload. Yeah.
Happy days. Well, yeah, I guess that can be your challenge. If you are struggling to get one of those books and start delving into it, get your eyes off screens and start doing the work on yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, like that. Definitely. Journaling or meditation first.
Yeah. For real. Don't deprive yourself and just enjoy your life. Exactly. And I will chat to you very, very soon.
Yes. Bye. Thank you for having me.
Lots of love. Bye.